Good morning. I'm sorry, it was good afternoon. The thought for, let me preface what I'm about to say here. Someone donated about 4,000 vinyl albums, not 4,000, 400 vinyl albums to the work here. And Miss Ramey has been supervising cataloging them, and we've been helping her out. And in the group of albums, I found the thought for today. No matter where you at, there you are.
Ron, by the way, I apologize. I didn't thank Ramey and Ron and Rachel. Again, there's 500 albums there. We're cataloging them to put on the marketplace, and somebody donated them to make some money for the church. Now, if you think it's a sin to purvey rock and roll, well, sorry.
Absolutely beautiful. The covers are great. It's just brought back some memories of artists we used to hear many years ago, and some I never heard of.
Like bluegrass.
D.L. Menard, I guess it is. He's the author of our thought for the day. No matter where you at, there you are. All right. Is this on?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Liz? All right. Last Wednesday, Rachel and I celebrated our 54th wedding anniversary, and we went to a restaurant, nice restaurant where we like to celebrate. And as we celebrate on our anniversary, we always talk about our life together. And so we talked about a lot of different things. And the year was 1963, in August 1963. And the yearly inflation rate then was 1.24%. The average new house cost $12,600. The average income was $5,800. The average price of a new car was $3,200. Gasoline was 29 cents a gallon. And a loaf of bread was 22 cents. President Kennedy was president. And the greatest speech I ever heard, for my opinion, is Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream." And he gave it in 1963. We also talked about the things that we use every day now that didn't exist back in 1963. Number one, color TV. Now, let me preface this by saying that there had been one created, but all the infrastructure it takes to put it in the public's hands and in their use hadn't come together yet. You know, you have to have a broadcast station to transmit colored pictures and all that stuff. And so that's true with a lot of these things that we didn't use back then. They probably was a prototype somewhere, but we didn't use them. Remote control, cable TV, satellite. Touch tone phone, cell phone, personal computer. Now in 1956, Stan Freckle created it was called the LLP-30 personal computer, and it was used by scientists and engineers, and it only cost $47,000. So things have changed a bit. A calculator. Now there was mechanical calculators and slide rules and all that up until about the mid-60s, but we had the first solid-state battery-operated handheld calculator put out by Texas Instrument. And I remember I bought my first one when I was in electronics school in Atlanta, and I paid $35 for it, and it was just a simple one. And now you can get them in a box of cornflakes, you know. They're everywhere. Satellites were in their infancy, and the interstate highway system wasn't yet complete. The zip code was implemented in the United States. And the last Studebaker car manufacturing plant closed in Ohio in 1963. Now, another thing that was around in the form of, well, credit cards. There was a Diners Club card that was implemented in the mid-1950s, but not many folks had them. And Rachel and I never had a card, and I think it's early 70s before we got a card. So we learned pretty quick how to make payday last from Friday to Friday, you know. A couple times we messed up, and back in those days, when you bought soda, you had to pay a 3-cent deposit on every bottle. So we would have enough bottles to take back to the country store and get a loaf of bread sometimes when we needed. So credit cards weren't around. I worked at Caterpillar Tractor Company at the time in Joliet, Illinois, and in 1966 I started working for AT&T, and I started in Huntington, Indiana, and in the wintertime, January, I worked there all winter, 10 below 0, 0, you know, just. And then the middle of May, they sent me to Stuart, Florida. So they always gave us like 4 days to travel. So we went back to Tennessee and visited our folks, and then drove on down to Stuart. And the boss told me I was the splicing gang clerk. I paid all the bills and did the per diem and all that for the whole crew. And he told me, he said, your checks will be in Stuart on Monday. Well, we get there on Sunday, we get a motel, we eat dinner, and we had enough for breakfast the next morning when we were broke. Thank God the checks were there, just like he said. So we get them cashed, and we get another motel, and away we go. Now, like I said, we probably didn't get our first credit card into the early 70s. And being new, we didn't use it much, so it was in my wallet, and one day I took it out to show a guy which card we had, and it was missing. And it was gone about 2 weeks before I knew it was gone. So I had called the Orange County Sheriff's Department and reported it, and we were hoping for the best and didn't even, I'm sure we might have been advised to cancel it, but we didn't. And so anyway, about 2 weeks later, after the first of the month, a detective from the Orange County Sheriff's Department called me, and Rachel was in the room, so I excused myself and I went to the bedroom because I didn't want her to hear this conversation, you know. So he said, Mr. Gordon said, we found the guy that has your card. I said, is that right? Oh yeah, he said, and if you'll press charges, we'll pick him up and lock him up. I said, sir, if it's all the same to you, let him keep that card because he spends less than she does.